Hey guys, welcome back to One All's Pub. The question that I'm asked from time to time is, what do I have against spring-assisted knives? So I thought I'd just do a real quick video here to kind of explain my perspective on the subject. And again, that's just what it is. It's just my perspective. It's my personal preference, my choice, the way, what I like in knives and what I don't like in knives. I'm not saying I'm, right. For you, if you like spring-assisted knives, then by all means, go for it. But I don't, as a rule, and here's the main reason. It is because once the blade is deployed, when you go to return it to the handle, to the closed position, you're fighting this spring or this torsion bar the whole time. And as you're fighting that, you have to overcome that and put it back in place. Now that's not that big of a deal, certainly. It's not that it's overly hard to do. It can certainly be done. It doesn't take a ton of effort. But it's an opportunity for error. It's an accident waiting to happen. And this came to me one day, and it's happened to me on a couple of occasions even since then. But the first time I really noticed it, and this was a while ago, and that was it was another Kershaw. I don't remember what it was now off the top of my head, but it was a spring-assisted knife, and I'd taken it out and he'd cut something. I was putting it back in my pocket, and I was forcing the blade down like we have to do to get this to set into the handle. And I was not really paying all that great of attention because I was doing something. I didn't have my thumb really set on the spine of the blade well, to go ahead and force it in like that. Instead, I had it kind of just sort of like so, and as I brought this in, my thumb slipped off the blade, and as it slipped off the blade redeployed. Because I had created just enough tension within the torsion bar to load the spring to deploy the blade. And that happened to me unexpectedly. The blade flipped open and I was actually near something and it banged into something. Didn't damage the tip or anything, luckily. But it kind of startled me because I wasn't expecting that blade to deploy. And I thought, oh, geez. And from that moment on, I thought, gosh, that's just an accident waiting to happen. I really don't care for that. Another thing that I really don't like about it is, in the case of a thumb stud, is that when you go to push this out, you're kind of, unless you just fling it out like so, which is fine, you just slam it out. But if you're kind of trying to do that slowly for any reason, and if you have a lot of knives that aren't spring assisted, this has been de-assisted, you can open one of these things very, just in a very nice, easy-going manner, no problem. Tough to do that with one of these. You kind of do that and you kind of catch yourself. I just about did it there too. I just about caught myself in the pad of the thumb there with the edge of the blade as it comes by. Because I'm kind of trying to do that slow, and it's just kind of, a little bit dangerous to the thumb, I think. I'm right here, and again, this is one of those, I see that, it's just right there as you kind of clear that spring. So again, it's just the personal preference for me. I mean, it leaves you the option of just really not messing around, just making sure you just slap it out. Which then is the third reason I don't really care for them, is that there's no subtle way to open this. If you take a spring-assisted knife out, and you're going to use it in public or you're going to use it around the office or something, unless you really go, very quietly open it like so, which you can do two-handed, but there's no way to one-handedly open this nicely. You either got to, you just kind of, even there, snaps it open. It's like there's one way to open it, and that's just to crash it open. You take a non-assisted knife, again this one's not been assisted, and I can open it very nicely, close it, no problem. I can certainly fling it open, that's not a problem too, but it doesn't have to. It can just open very nice, no problem. And I like that option, first of all, and I like to be able to kind of discreetly deploy a knife, do whatever I gotta do if I'm trying to do something that I don't necessarily want everybody looking at the fact that snap, just, and blade just snapped open. And non-knife people think when they hear this, they think switchblade. I mean, in fact, that's even true a little bit about a flipper, because it still has that bang open to it. So, people think, oh, you got a switchblade. Well, no, I don't. But again, I have the option not to do that with a non-assisted knife. I can just very nicely open and close it. So that's the third reason I don't really care for spring assist knives. And the fourth reason is that, and it's purely a tactile reason, is that I just don't like the way it ruins the smoothness of a knife. Again, the forcing this down, even if it doesn't slip, turns into a, there's just no smoothness to this, really. You take a knife like this that was de-assisted, and once it's de-assisted, it's very smooth going, back down into the frame. And that's just tactilely, or from a tactility perspective, just a very nice little thing that I really like. I'll get another one here, my EDC for today, my Hinderer Warncliffe. just, you know, you put these back, and there's that feeling of smoothness that people highly value so much in upper end knives is just awesome. And you just don't get that in a spring assist knife because, you know, there's no smoothness here. As a matter of fact, it can be quite jerky, and you're forcing your way back through the spring tension, and you're overcoming that to put it back in. And these are all minor things, and they're just things that all add up to me, not really caring for a spring assist knife. The one kind of caveat to that is on a smaller knife like this Kershaw Scallion, on a smaller knife, and this thing completely disappears, you know, in the palm of my hand. I mean, you know, you just about pretty much can't tell I have a knife in my hand if I do this, right? You know, opening a small knife can be kind of tricky. So on a small knife, actually having a little bit of a spring assist can be kind of a nice deal. It's still not my favorite, and I don't really actually prefer tiny little knives like this. But on a small knife, being able to have that assist for the reason of opening it, because opening it another way, you know, without, it can be more challenging because it's of the size of the knife, then there's some value to it. It's even right there. Because I was forcing that open, I caught myself a little bit trying to do it slowly. Another reason I don't care for them. But on a smaller knife like this, I can live with it. And I can see an actual value to it. The bigger the knife gets, the less I really care for a spring assist. It's just a personal preference thing. Again, if that doesn't bother you, if not being able to open it slowly doesn't bother you, if, you know, that trying to open it slowly and catching your thumb potentially on the blade there, edge doesn't bother you, and if the smoothness factor isn't something that you're kind of into with your knives, then you probably like a spring assisted knife. Again, I'm not here to say you're wrong or you're foolish for liking them. I'm just saying I tend not to. So anyway, that's just my perspective. Or, as I like to say, 1 ounce 2 cents. Keep the change. Sláinte.